Thank you, everybody, for having me. My talk today is going to be about archetypes, spirituality, and tarot. And like, why? Well, when you heard about my yoga training, and so when I did my 500-hour yoga certificate, I took it from a woman named Ilana Kaivalya. And so, you do a training, you get on somebody's email list, they email you all the time about different things. And one time she sent us an email about tarot, and she suggested that as a yoga teacher, you might want to have another thing that you do for spiritual enlightenment, and maybe tarot would work. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And so I read up a little bit more on tarot, and of course, I bought a tarot deck. And then once you buy one, it's kind of like chickens for me. You want more. So I've kind of had a little obsession with collecting, and it's a little bit about the art, but it's a little bit about, you get into the community and everybody else is collecting and you see all the beautiful things. And, so if you don't know, so I've been a collector of tarot since about 2019. Don't ask Aiden how many I have. He's not going to tell you. Or you better not. But anyway, if you don't know anything about tarot, it was the one I collect mostly is the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck. There's different kinds, but the Rider-Waite-Smith was originally published in 1909 by a woman named Pamela Coleman Smith and A.E. White, and they were members of a secret society that was devoted to the study of metaphysics and magic and spirituality. The traditional tarot deck is made up of 78 cards, and they're always the same cards. So there's a major arcana and a minor arcana, and people tweak it a little bit, but it's always those cards. There are other card decks that are not tarot that are different. In order to read tarot, you look at the art and you understand that this card typically means this, and then you kind of use your intuition. And so one of the things that when you learn about tarot cards that they talk about a lot is archetypes. And so I wanted to delve more into archetypes, and I thought, hey, I can research a topic and also speak about it at the same time. So that's what you guys are getting, my research. So what is an archetype? The idea of archetypes was created by Swiss psychiatrist, Carl Jung. And I'm sure you've heard about Jung, or if you haven't, he worked closely with Freud for several years. So they have a little bit of the same ideas, but then he broke with Freud because Freud is very focused on, sexual things like your mother and things like that. And so Jung decided that he wanted to expand his theories in a different way. Jung created the term archetype to mean universal symbols and images that derive from the collective unconscious. He believed this was an innate human knowledge that that all members of the human race share. And archetypes represent patterns in the collective unconsciousness. Let's take a step back and talk about the human psyche, because these guys are really concerned about humans, the understanding of human psychology. And so Freud believed of ego and id and superego. And Jung changed that a little bit to ego, which is your conscious mind, our awareness of existing thoughts and memories. And then you have a personal unconscious. Those are the things, the thoughts and memories that you may not be aware of in the moment. And they can be childhood memories or just past memories. And you could have just forgotten them, or they could be repressed, like you're intentionally forgetting them because you don't want to think about them. And then we also have the collective unconscious. That's the deepest part of the unconscious mind that's shaped by inheritance and not just personal experience. Like we all share a collective unconscious. It's expressed through universal archetypes and symbols and patterns. And we see these in universal themes in art and literature and music and in dreams. There are archetypes that you can think about right now that we have like a universal meaning across cultures. For example, light means hope and renewal. Darkness would be despair and ignorance. Water perhaps might be birth or life. Fire maybe would be knowledge. And Jung believes that our primitive past is the basis for the human psyche, and the four most important archetypes that make up the psyche are the persona. That is your outward mask. That's what you're seeing right now. It's your public face, perhaps not the exact way that you would be on your own or with your loved ones. And then you have your anima and your animus. That is your unconscious mirror of your biological sex. So in me, I have male characteristics and female characteristics. My male characteristics may be a little bit more unconscious. He based these on the ancient idea of eros and logos for the ancient Greeks. The world what is both eros, chaos and creativity, and logos, the regular human law. And so eros are your feminine qualities of like receptivity, creativity, and logos is your masculine qualities of power, thought, and actions. And inside all of us are both. And this is drawn from Jung's idea of individuation. Each person, the goal of for each person to reach the goal of individuation, you need to engage in some interpersonal dialogues that help you understand how you relate to the world. And as we are made of masculine and feminine, it allows us to overcome thoughts of who we are and accept ourselves, like bad thoughts about who we are, and accept ourselves for who we really are. And it's important to remember that he believed that it's not really gender specific, that you have both inside of you. And then the last part, I'm sorry, there's two more parts. There's the shadow. The shadow side is like the animal side, or the side of our personality that we judge in ourselves, the side that we might not want to accept. It often can be the side that you see in other people as negative, but you might not realize that you also have that side in you. The shadow self is a large focus in personal development or self-help. It's about developing self-awareness and self-acceptance and compassion. And for me, I think of the shadow work or shadow self as it's that negative part of yourself that you may not be aware, but maybe you do. Maybe it's something you've worked through. For me, I had an eating disorder in college, and it was something I judged myself on a huge amount. And so understanding and having compassion for myself is allowing for the shadow in myself. And that's my shadow. And then the self. This is the sum of everything we are. Jung says the self embraces ego consciousness. That's the first one. Shadow, anima, and collective unconsciousness. The self is everything that we are now, everything that we once were, as well as everything we could potentially come. It's the symbol of the God within us, that which we are as a totality, which I thought was a beautiful way of putting it. The archetype of the self is the cause of our impulse. So inside of us, we have an archetype of self, and it causes us to kind of work towards self-realization, which Jung believed was the end purpose of human life, the experience of coming together of the whole to fully integrate the shadow, the ego, and the collective unconscious, and understand who we are. The search for yourself and who you are is the work of our life. That's what he believed. And it's a process, and it never ends, right? So you don't actually reach it. It's a continuum. So I'm going to talk quickly about because there are thousands of archetypes, but I'm going to talk quickly about some. And I'm going to tell you the name of the archetype and give you some aspects. And then we're going to talk about where you might be able to see them in media. So the innocent is one. It's the free to be you and me person, the core desire to be happy. They like to do things right, but they're kind of very naive. And examples of this perhaps are SpongeBob SquarePants, Forrest Gump, Alice in Wonderland. And then we have the everyman. This is a person who thinks all men and women are created equal. They just want to connect. They want to belong. They're afraid to stand out. An everyman is the good old boy, the regular guy. For example, it could be Watson from Sherlock Holmes, or Frodo from Lord of the Rings, or Huckleberry Finn. They're the everyman. And then we have the hero. Where there's a will, there's a way. They want to prove themselves through courageous acts. They are afraid of being seen as vulnerable. The hero is the warrior, the crusader, the rescuer. the soldier, the dragon slayer. For example, Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen. Those are all heroes. And then we have the caregiver, also the mother. The motto is love your neighbor as yourself. They desire to protect and care for people. Their goal is to help others. They are compassionate and full of generosity. They are the saint, the altruist, the parent, the supporter. For example, Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter, Beth March from Little Women, Oscar Schindler from Schindler's List, Leigh Ann Tui from The Blind Side, the mother. Then we have the explorer. They don't want to be fenced in. They want to have the freedom to go out and explore the world. They want to journey and seek out and experience new things. They don't like to be bored. The explorer is the seeker, the wanderer, the pilgrim. For example, Captain Kirk from Star Trek, Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, Indiana Jones. Those are all explorers. Then we have the rebel. The rebel thinks rules are made to be broken. They often desire revenge or revolution. Their goal is to overturn what isn't working. They're the rebel, the outlaw, the wild man, the revolutionary, the misfit, possibly. For example, Robin Hood, Ferris Bueller, also Katniss Everdeen. So you'll see that sometimes there are more than one archetypes in yourself and in fiction. They can be more than one. You can have many. The lover, they think that their opposite is the only one. Their core desire is intimacy and experience. Their goal is to be in a relationship. They are the partner, the friend, the intimate, the sensualist, the spouse, the team builder. For example, Romeo and Juliet, Rose and Jack from Titanic, Ross from Friends. And then we have the creator, the artist. If you imagine it, it can be done. They want to realize a vision. They create culture and express their vision. They are the inventor, the innovator. We have Iron Man, Willy Wonka, Christian in Moulin Rouge. And there's 12. So we're on number 9. We have the jester. The motto is you only live once. Their desire is to live in the moment and have full enjoyment of it. They are the fool, the trickster, the joker. You might think of Loki or Timon and Pumbaa or Jack Sparrow or even Chandler Bing. We have the sage. They are the wise one. The truth will set you free. They are the expert, the scholar, the detective, the advisor. Of course, I think of Yoda. We have Mr. Miyagi or Gandalf for that one. Then we have the magician. They make things happen. They understand the fundamental laws of the universe. They're the visionary, the catalyst, the inventor. And we have perhaps Darth Vader or Doc Brown from Back of the Future or Gandalf again is the magician or Merlin. And the last one we have is the ruler. And they believe that power isn't everything. It's the only thing. They desire control. They exercise power. Their greatest fear is being overthrown. They're the boss, the leader, the aristocrat, the king, the queen, the politician. And for examples, we have Mufasa from The Lion King. We have Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. We have Julius Caesar. We have The Godfather. So what do these archetypes have to do with tarot or spirituality? Well, for me, tarot is part of my spiritual practice. And when you're looking at a picture on a card, you look for the archetype and you're asking a question, or you can pull a card. So I use tarot to meditate, to help with introspection, to help with me journaling. It is a divination tool, which, people ask for it, what their future is going to be, but also people use it just to illuminate ourselves, to understand ourselves more, and to be able to connect with our collective consciousness. So that's what we're talking about, the archetypes, the collective consciousness. It is a symbolism that is in the cards that you draw from what you see. So whatever you see in the card, you take that symbolism and that is internalized, and you can use it to intuit a meaning for your question or an answer. And sometimes it takes a while for you to think about, well, what would this mean to me? You can ask yourself open-ended questions and then use that symbolism and archetypes in the card to help you dig deeper into your subconscious. And you're always going to find something that it will mean to you, and it could be completely different from something that it would mean to somebody else, because we all have different experiences and we all have different things in our subconscious. And at its most basic, introspection is just simply paying attention, noticing your signs and your messages and your experiences and your emotions at the present moment. And it's really rooted in being mindful, which and present. And all you need to do to read tarot really is to allow your intuition to come through and start with an intent. So you don't actually have to know all the meanings of the card. So often when you're reading about tarot and how to read it, they'll just tell you to use your intuition. And it's a lot. It reminds me a lot of astrology. So when you read your daily horoscope, you intuit from your horoscope, whatever it is that strikes your heart. So everybody can get something different from their horoscope and understand a little bit more about themselves. Same thing with tarot cards. You can all understand a little bit more about yourself and get a little bit more meaning from each card. And archetypes and tarot can help you understand your deepest self. And I'm just going to end with a few quotes from Carl Jung. So I just thought they were so interesting. He thinks that knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with other people. And the collective unconscious contains the whole spiritual heritage of mankind's evolution, born anew in the brain structure of each and every individual. So everybody has collective unconscious, the ability to connect with the collective unconscious within us, and yet it may be all slightly different. And one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but instead making the darkness conscious. And that's my talk for today. Thank you for listening. Oh, yes. Does anybody have any questions? I do. If you'd like a reading, I would give you one. I don't have my cards with me today. Just, connect with me later or anytime. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So some people think you should. So there is a myth about tarot that you can't buy your own deck, that somebody should gift you a deck, and you can buy your own deck, obviously, and you can read them. Yeah, I have a lot. But you can, I use them for myself mostly every day. I pull a card for myself, and I know lots of people who literally pull cards all the time to help them make decisions or help them understand what things they're working through. And then also, you can use them to help other people in the same way. Yes, yes. Yeah, yes, exactly. So it's exactly that. It's like vehicle for it to come through, as opposed to perhaps I think it's a little bit easier than just trying to sit here and tap into your intuition and get answers. If you pull a tarot card, you have kind of a picture, and then you can try to pull from that. And sometimes, yes, exactly, like the little nudge. Yeah. So, yeah.
Are you on social media?
Yes, I am. If I have I'm Live Happy Tarot on Instagram and TikTok. Live Happy Tarot. So LIVE Happy Tarot. Yeah. Thank you.